in college, I took an English composition course. My teacher, an elderly Englishman with a sharp wit and an even sharper red pencil, was tough. I realized, coming from India, I was pretty good at taking tests, at regurgitating stuff I had memorized, but not so good at expressing my own ideas. Now, I know I'm supposed to say that a liberal education teaches you to think, but thinking and writing are inextricably intertwined. When I begin to write, I realize that my thoughts are usually a jumble of half-baked, incoherent impulses strung together with gaping logical holes between them. Whether you're a novelist, a businessman, a marketing consultant, or a historian, writing forces you to make choices, and it brings clarity and order to your ideas. If you think this has no use, ask Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. Bezos insists that his senior executives write memos, often as long as 6 printed pages, and begins senior management meetings with a period of quiet time, sometimes as long as 30 minutes, while everyone reads the memos and makes notes on them. Whatever you do in life, the ability to write clearly, cleanly, and I would add quickly, will prove to be an invaluable skill. And in many ways, this is the central teaching of a liberal education. The second great advantage of a liberal education is that it teaches you how to speak and speak your mind. One of the other contrasts that struck me between school in India and college in America was that an important part of my grade was talking. My professors were going to judge me on the process of thinking through the subject matter and presenting my analysis and conclusions out loud. Speaking clearly and concisely is a big advantage in life. The final strength of a liberal education is that it teaches you how to learn, to read in a variety of subjects, find data, analyze information. Whatever job you take, I guarantee that the specific stuff you will have learned in college, whatever it is, will prove mostly irrelevant or quickly irrelevant. Even if you learned to code, but did it a few years ago before the world of apps, you would have to learn to code anew. And given the pace of change that is transforming industries and professions these days, you will need that skill of learning and retooling all the time. These are liberal education strengths, and they will help you as you move through your working life. Of course, if you want professional success, you will have to put in the hours, be focused and disciplined, work well with others, and get lucky. But that will be true for anyone, even engineers. Congratulations and Godspeed. Anyway, that is a piece of the graduation talk I gave at Sarah Lawrence College on Friday. You can watch the whole thing, which is much more, online. Go to our website, and we have a link to it.
Raise your hand high when you pass the box if you're done. Thanks.
Should we get zone out? Right, if we're done.
Okay, great. What did you think? You can unmute Harlan and Council Buffs and add your input here. What did you take away from Fareed Zakaria's advice to us about the benefits of writing? Anybody can go?
I think we're missing sound on video.
Pardon me?
We were missing sound on video.
Oh, no.
Are we still muted?
No, you're okay.
Okay.
So no one in no one in Council Bluffs could hear it on your own computers?
Oh, I didn't know it was going for it.
Oh. Okay, so what I had mentioned before was every time we have a little video, what I'm going to do is have you guys, whoever has a laptop there, because I see laptops there, taking away that layer of technological blips will help us. So obviously you didn't get to hear that. I will want you to go back and view that on your own tonight. But please listen up for what Harlan and Atlantic have to say about what Fareed Zakaria said, the benefit of, he was talking about a liberal education, but specifically what he said about writing. Amelia, you look like you're just dying to say something. Okay, so writing and speaking are intertwined. They help each other. Yes. Who else? Ben? Right. Right, very good. And Harlan and Council Bluffs, can you hear our students?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so writing helps your speaking and is intertwined. Writing helps your thinking. What did he say about what writing your thoughts forces you to do? Yeah, help organize because when he started typing and saying that it was kind of a jumbled mess of incoherent thoughts that had gaping logical holes. That's so often. I mean, I know what I was saying. And then I do this because my thoughts are like bouncing into one another in my head. I do really know what I'm thinking. I mean, it's kind of a mush up there of an idea, but when you have to put it into words, it forces you to another deeper level of organizing your thoughts in order to articulate them. Harlan, what's something that you took away from that?
I'm trying to like, I just got over it. It just makes you think harder, you know.
That's a good one. Okay, Michelle, right?
Yes.
Okay, Michelle, I'm so glad that you said that. I should have taken notes. The fact that you are reflecting on that is part of another point that he made. He made three main points, or developed 3 main points. That college students and citizens need to learn how to write, they need to learn how to speak, and they need to learn how to learn. That writing, and he was saying the liberal arts education helps you learn how to learn. And you, by saying, oh, I should have taken notes, was you saying, oh, in order to learn better, in order to perform better in what I'm doing, I should have taken notes. So you're learning about learning. And this particular class that you're taking, all of you, I want you to really be thinking of those 3 things, putting them together, and allowing those to be practiced with your best effort throughout the semester. And for that practice and that learning and that growing and stretching in those skills to be applied to all other areas of your life, not just whatever classes you have, but anything else in life. To learn how to write and therefore think more deeply, to learn how to speak and therefore help your thinking and your writing, and learning how to learn. So those are 3 things that I want you to really be able to do. So the speaking part of that, I want you to challenge yourself, and especially, and it is a bigger challenge in this setup with remote classrooms. I understand that. But please speak up. And the first thing that we're going to speak up about and review and discuss is Chapter 2, Invention. So if you guys can all turn to Chapter 2 and see what notes and comments you did make, because I'm actually going to scroll up here. As you'll see on the top, your assignments for each week. Actually, this is on the before class. That's something I'm going to do first. Each week, I'm going to set up the lesson plan, kind of what our activity is in the same manner. I'll have what to do for class, what to do midnight Friday, which is your writing, generally speaking, and then do the same for next week. Then I'll have the unit, the concept, and enduring understanding that I really want you to take away from this week. And then hot discussion focus. Hot meaning higher order thinking. So those are the two things this week that I really want you to think deeply on. Then I will have before class activity. And as you can see, and hopefully you did this, reading Chapter 2 Invention, noting the following. So as you're reading, whatever it is, whether it's the instruction part, like text structures, or the model reading, I want you to specifically note and document your conversation with this text. So note any questions or concerns you had. Maybe a concern is, I never, ever, ever do this, or maybe I struggle with this, or I can't see myself doing what it says here I should be doing. Helpful information and techniques. If you see something that, oh wow, that should help me, write it down, highlight it, note it someplace. And then today I specifically wanted you to be reading for what you normally do for invention, pre-writing planning. And how did your first essay, invention planning, go? How was that? So as we are working our way through the art and class activity today, I'll probably refer back to that. But for Chapter 2, Invention and Diagnostic essay. So I want your perspective on what you did for your diagnostic essay and any comments or questions or helpful information that you gleaned from Chapter 2. You can jump in and start.
The branching with the bubbles and branching out, I think that's gonna help me a lot.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Branching. I've always called it webbing, but also bubbling. But can you tell me what page you're looking at? 42. Right. They call it clustering. I don't know how to call it clustering. Usually bubbling or webbing. Yeah. How many of you, did any of you use that for your ideas for this last diagnostic essay? Anybody in Harlan or Council Box?
I was using it to bust down the chapter, I guess.
To what?
I use that technique to bust down the chapter of the policy thing.
Oh, good.
You know, yeah.
Okay, that's great. Clustering your ideas that way. That's fantastic. Which is nice that you're using it in a different way. You said to break it down, right? The chapter?
Yes.
Yeah, and here it's a technique that can be used both ways, breaking something down, or the invention is building something up, building and developing an idea. So yeah, great. What else did you take away from this chapter? Invention. Helpful techniques, things that were new to you. How about, well, I want you to be thinking of how you could describe what you did for, or what your experience was in this diagnostic essay. But one thing I want to point out, if you go to page 29, when it says understanding your assignment, that is the one main thing that I want you to if there's anything I want you to remember from this class, is how to really understand your assignment. An assignment for you guys, obviously, as college students, are college true assignments. But you'll have writing tasks for the rest of your life, whether it's an application letter, a police report, a medical narrative, an email to a boss. You'll have writing tasks forever. And so understanding the main purpose of that so you can actually communicate effectively is what I want you to come away with from this class. And on page 29, it mentions that you need to understand what your assignment is asking you to do. And on the pre-write plan, or planning document that I provided for the diagnostic essay, and I've done it for a few of the essays while we're studying text structures, cause and effect, compare, contrast, and exemplification. I'm going to give you that same type of planning document. And on the top of that, I'm actually going to pull up an example of a cause effect essay that I've done. I have the raft, the role, audience, format, and topic. And what is described on pages 29, 30, 31, and 32 are basically, they're a little bit different, explained a little bit differently, but it's that raft, role, audience, format, and topic. The role is, who are you as a writer? Are you a college student? Are you a nurse? Are you yourself? What are you doing? What's your purpose? Are you persuading? Are you describing? Are you exemplifying? Are you narrating? So that role is so important to find. Who are you and what are you doing? Your audience. If you don't know who your audience is, you don't know what language to use. If you do know your audience, you will better know what kind of vocabulary should I be using. Can I use slang? Do I have to be totally formal? It tells you so much about their attitude. Can I be sarcastic? Do I have to be totally serious? Will they agree with me? Will they not agree with me? Will I have to persuade them in other ways? So knowing your audience is so important. The format, in here, they have something on length and also occasion. Those kind of touch on the format. If you're sending an email, you better find out what the typical email etiquette is for whatever business you're in. But that's going to be different than a block style business letter, which will be different than an Instagram that you might be expected to send, or a tweet in certain ways. There are certain formats that you're going to need to follow for whatever your writing task is. All right, so moving from the subject to the topic, narrowing. On page 34, how many of you, just yell out, how many of you have had a hard time really focusing and narrowing what it is you're supposed to be writing about? Anybody? I had a lot of emails this last week just on the diagnostic exercise. I don't have, yeah, me. It's very important to know your topic and to know how broad or narrow you need to write. And so one of the things it says, let's see if I can find it. Oh, well, this is back on page 29. If you are confused about anything, ask your instructor for clarification, which many of you did, so I appreciate that. Always ask for clarification. However, when you have a topic, being able to address it appropriately in a narrow enough manner, if you can think of a topic as a pizza, you have to write about, let's say you need to write about Obama's State of the Union address. That's the topic in the pizza. It would be very difficult maybe to address every single thing that he said in his speech. However, if you cut that pizza up and take one slice of it, let's say how he addressed the economy, then you are much more able to tackle that writing. So thinking of the pie and one piece of it will help you narrow what it is you're writing about. Okay, before I move on, what other things in this chapter stuck out to you guys? That was helpful or confusing? And how many of you do struggle with coming up with ideas? What do I write? I'm just like getting it started. Yeah, I see nods here in Atlanta. Anybody in Harlem or Council Bluffs feel like you struggle with getting things started? Yeah. Okay, and I mentioned this last week that college professors generally say that one of the hardest things that they struggle with students is getting them to go deeper into certain topics and discuss it critically and reading it critically. Where it's kind of the opposite for students. What they say is, it's hard for me to get the ideas started, to come up with ideas to talk about, to write about. So we're going to be practicing both of those in this class. And this invention, the whole idea of invention, planning, pre-writing is something I really want you to accept as a challenge. And the pre-writing forms, like the one that you see here for cause and effect, which is the same form that I'm going to be giving to you for this week's writing, may seem tedious. It may seem boring. Some people who just plain don't like to do any planning, they just like to draft it out and be done with it, might struggle. But I'm challenging you, take the time and let the repetition of this process help you. Because it's important to understand that motion needs to happen. We need to allow ourselves to start putting things down on paper, even if they aren't a fluent thought, just to get them out on paper. Generating ideas creates motion. That motion creates more fluency. That fluency creates more confidence. That confidence creates easier thoughts to be able to be developed. And another thing that I think is really important, that goes along with invention and planning, is the factor of time, because planning takes time. And lots of times, there actually was an essay, and I can't remember the author, but there was an essay that I used to give to my pre-college students here called Shitty First Drafts, about authors, any author, no matter what you are as a writer, whether it's a student, an author, a business person, whatever you just plain spit out first as a draft is your garbage. Your garbage might be better than someone else's garbage, but if it's just your first draft, it's your garbage. So committing the time to revising it, really planning it out beforehand, and then drafting it and then revising it will clean up that garbage and stretch you and help you become a better writer, stronger writer, and thinker. Okay. I'm going to just run through chapter 2 very quickly here. Questions for probing on page 34. And we're going to actually practice a little bit later a specific questioning format. It's called QFT, and question formulation technique. And it's something that I use with my high school students a lot, that I've seen huge growth with them, because it's a very simple process that will generate a lot of ideas. But the list that's on page 34 and 35, actually, I was thinking of making this into a document, which I will do. I just didn't have time to complete this. But making this into a document that you could download as well. But keeping these questions handy will generate more ideas. If you just have a list of questions that you can think about on whatever topic you're writing, it really does help. Probing deeper. Free writing is another really good technique. Lots of people like free writing, although most people don't understand how free writing can really be used, or the correct way to really use free writing. Because free writing, a lot of people just think they free write and then they're done. I have that get the draft out and you're the done thing. But free writing actually should be a timed practice for you. Maybe you have 3 minutes, 5 minutes where you just plain type, just whatever is on your mind. And then at the end of the 3 minutes or 5 minutes, whatever, you actually read it and go, oh, I spent a lot of time talking about this. I spent a little time talking about that, a little time talking about this, but where my mind mostly was right here. And that's what you can focus on. And then, even on page 37, it talks about looping, focused free writing or looping, where you take, you free write, see what you come up with, and then you take that and you free write about that topic and see if you can develop it further or narrow it further and focus it. And then brainstorming, whether that's webbing, lists, random, and you can see on page 40, kind of random notes of brainstorms. And with that, you could definitely do a web. You could connect ideas once you get them all down, then you go back and look at it again and go, oh, okay, this, and this go together. And that looks like a good topic, or that looks like a good supporting point. And then Reagan talked about clustering or webbing. Is there anyone that loves outlines? No one? Good. Okay, good. Anybody in Harlan or Council? Okay. My experience is that people either really love outlining or they really loathe it. And I'm one that really sees the benefit in outlining, but I love all the other types of brainstorming and planning and invention as well. And the pre-write or planning document that I have for you for the next couple writings does allow you to do an outline that does not require you to do that. But an outline is a very good way to organize your thoughts. Okay, developing a thesis. We will work on developing a thesis. I will probably work on that individually with you through Google Docs because I find it a very personal thing. You got to really understand where you're going with your thesis. As you can see on page 45, what a good thesis does for writers, it helps writers plan an essay because it really, you got to know what is the main focus or purpose of your writing. And that thesis helps plan that essay, helps organize the essay, and it helps writers to unify all the ideas in an essay. And the analogy that I always use for a thesis statement is that it's a thread. Whatever your thesis is, you should picture it as a thread. And you put that thread and weave it through your entire essay. And that's what unifies and holds together and organizes your writing. And you can weave that thread all the way through each paragraph. And then for the readers, obviously, it identifies the main idea. They need to know where they're going. It guides readers through an essay. It keeps them unified. It keeps them following your thought. And it clarifies the subject and the focus of an essay. Again, basically, they need to know where you're headed, where they are headed. All right. Any other comments on invention? Okay, I want to hear from you then about your experience with the diagnostic essay. Were you frustrated? Did you feel the planning went well? Did you struggle but you pushed through it? What do you think?
Reading.
Good. Okay, and what kind of pre-writing did you do? And who am I speaking with?
Kyle.
I'm sorry. Kyle?
Kyle. Yeah.
Great. Kyle, what did you do for your pre-writing?
I thought about a lot.
Okay.
I thought
Okay, who else? Found it, okay, and what was frustrating about it? Okay, and,
Write down ideas and then
okay, did you feel at any point that you actually were able to thread together those? Okay, and what helped you do that? Okay, so clarifying, yeah. I mean, that is huge. Knowing your purpose, making sure that you understand your writing task and the purpose is huge. Because if we aren't sure of where we're going, how can we get there? So that's why the RAP, the role, audience, format, topic. Who am I as a writer? What am I doing? Am I analyzing? Am I explaining? Am I illustrating? Am I narrating? Should I be myself individually, or should I be a certain type of learner? And it depends on, are you writing about something current? Are you writing about history? Are you writing history class? Are you writing that occasion? That rhetorical situation is so important. Okay. Somebody else be willing to share about your experience, pre-writing experience on this first essay.
I guess I was confused about it.
Okay.
And I was confused.
And what helped you get through it? I hope that all of you actually just plain use grit to get through it, because sometimes the writing process is messy, and to push through it instead of giving up is sometimes difficult, or that's what sometimes needs to be accomplished in order to get through it. And that's the stretching of your writing. It's actually why many people aren't good writers, because they just plain don't want to do it. And once you get that motion going, that really does help. Motion, it's like inertia. Motion keeps going. Okay. Moving on here. Arrangement. Now, I didn't have you guys read the arrangement, chapter 3, but we're going to quickly go through chapter 3, and I'm going to kind of talk about what I saw in your diagnostic essays. And I saw many of you use your pre-write, which I was really happy with. I saw some really go through the steps of the pre-write that I've given you, and then others I just got the essay, so I didn't see what pre-writing you did. And I assumed that at least some of you didn't pre-write, just kind of gave me the writing. So let's look at chapter 3. Recognizing a pattern. The pattern is basically like the text structure that we're talking about. Is it a narrative? Is it a cause and effect? Is it a compare-contrast? Are you just describing? Are you illustrating? So recognizing the pattern will help organize your thoughts. You can see on page 52, it's got some different questions that'll help you identify like narration, description, exemplification, process, or how to, cause and effect, compare, contrast, classification, and definition. So understanding what your writing task is, you can kind of ask yourself some of these questions and recognize that not only should you be following that some of those questions and that actual pattern, but that your readers will be expecting you to. I was mostly happy, well, I was happy that the essays that I did get had the introduction, almost all of them anyway, an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. You can see that in chapter 3 is what chapter 3 is about: the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. And there are some really good points in here. If you look on page 55, there's a checklist of what not to do in an introduction, which I thought was very helpful that we went through. Don't apologize. You might be writing about something that people don't agree with. or maybe it's an offensive issue. Mostly though, it might be something that people don't agree with. It doesn't matter, you don't need to apologize. Don't begin with a dictionary definition, although your own personal definition is sometimes a really good way, but a dry dictionary definition is not a good way to start. Don't announce what you intend to do, and I see this a lot. In this paper, I will, or I am going to tell you about. You don't need to tell them, you need to let your words tell them. And that's something I want everyone to remember. And then don't wander. Wander away from the topic. Keep your clutter to a minimum. And there are a lot of really good ideas here for how to start an introduction. Oftentimes people say, well, I don't know how to, I know I should have a hook or an intention grabber. Yes, that's great. And on page 53, you can see a number of ideas. Background information, giving background information right at the front. A definition that's an original and what it means to you. An anecdote or story. A question, although questions are, I would say, one of the weaker types oftentimes. A quotation, a surprising statement, going on page 54. A contradiction, saying what something is not. And then a fact or statistic. And lots of times those facts or statistics are something that's a little bit attention grabbing. So those are some ideas that you can start your introduction with. And then the body. The body should be well developed. It should be unified. You can see on page 55 and 56. It talks about being unified, coherent, and then on page 58, well developed. And I've got similar information here. One of my colleagues, Allison Berryhill, who also teaches composition, I'm using her PowerPoint because it is so good. She's very clear in what she says. But effective writing, the arrangement, you have to keep the arrangement in mind because the arrangement or organization is the main structure that helps be effective in your writing. So it has a purpose, style, or voice that is consistent. The ideas are logically expressed. The language is precise and clear. And the language and form follow conventions. So we're going to look a little bit on this. Consistent, express ideas logically, precise and clear, and follows conventions. Okay, so consistent, in your diagnostic essays, I saw a lot of people fluctuating between first and second person. You were reflecting on yourself, so I heard a lot of I's, which was appropriate because you were reflecting upon your own skill. And then I got a lot of U's, and I got a lot of students who were going back and forth in the same paragraph, saying I, and then you, and then I, and then you, when you're really referring to what you do yourself. So for consistency's sake, you need to stay in one point of view. And second person is very difficult, and it's informal. So most of what we will do in here is third person objective, but you'll do a narrative project, which you might have first person. Tense is another thing that is sometimes hard for us to be consistent on. But if we start in past tense, always stay in past tense. If you're writing in present tense, always stay in present tense. Because as a reader, when we go back and forth, we get confused, and we don't want to confuse our reader. The present is active, but hard to maintain. Tone, and that's the feel that the reader gets. So if you start off very formal, la-di-da, and then all of a sudden you get worked up about what you're writing, and your writing shows it, your tone is really changing. And you want to have a very consistent tone throughout your entire writing. And then parallel structure. Now I can't remember which week we'll work on this for grammar, but parallel structure is all about having the same structure and syntax for whatever it is you are presenting multiples of. Actually, I'm going to skip out of here, and I'm going to give you an example of this. On our main page for Comp 105 for Heartland English, you can see what I have down at the bottom here. A rich academic writing experience includes the following 5 elements. Reading closely, reading as a writer, documenting your conversation with the text. Discussing critically, building on others' ideas through higher order thinking. Writing analytically, articulating thoughtful analysis and ideas. Approaching objectively, acknowledging and gaining perspective. And supplementing creatively, utilizing other academic models. I have a whole list here. And I have structured this with parallel structure because I have, these are all verbs, and they're all ing verbs. And they all have an adverb after them, all of which, and most adverbs are, but ly. So I have ing verb, ly adverb, ing verb, ly adverb, all the way through. I've structured it the same, that's parallel. Instead of reading closely, critically discussing, written analysis, objective approach, supplementing creatively. It doesn't sound as structured. It doesn't sound as smooth or as fluent when it's not parallel. And I also, for what's in parentheses, have it parallel as well. Reading, building, articulating, acknowledging, utilizing. So that's what parallel structure is. And we'll work on that throughout. And that really does help a consistent consistency of the writing. Next, there's one. They should add to the punishment by having the student finish the assignment themselves. So here you can see they should add to the punishment by having the students, plural, finish the assignment themselves. So consistency in that this is plural. We should add to the punishment by having the student finish the assignment himself. So student singular, so my pronoun is singular. Those types of language uses are important in order to have consistency. And the reader really can tell if it's consistent or not. Even if they can't really truly identify it, we as readers understand when something is consistent and fluent. And it does help, or it does affect our comprehension as well. Effective writing expresses ideas logically. And it normally in academic writing, it is if-then logic. Other logic or expressions that we need to make sure we have logically lined up are modifiers, adverbs, adjectives. So no dangling modifiers where you're trying to modify something in one side of or one part of the sentence, but you're doing it way away from it. And you'll do a little bit of that in your grammar as well. Correlation is not causation. That's something that I want you to be concerned about with this week's writing, cause and effect. Just because it's correlated doesn't mean it's causing something, which is a logical fallacy that I want you to be aware of. And if you want to dig into logical fallacies, there is a link here on that's really good on this presentation. If you want to really think and dig a little deeper on, am I being logical? Am I thinking things through? That's a great page to go through. Work through the logic of the statement. I do not believe there is any motivation to cheat. Is that a logical statement, do you think? Why?
Because people should have the good of themselves not to force themselves to cheat.
Okay, so Zen has said people should have the good in themselves not to cheat. However, well, actually, you know what? I got to check and see. Okay, yeah, speak up.
Is it because it's an assumption?
Right, it's an assumption, and it's all of the ways we rationalize, we put logic together are assumptions. But under what assumption? Oh gosh, oops, I've gotten to the Spanish part, sorry. Consequences. Oh, and this one actually, this isn't a complete list of logical fallacies, but the assumption or the line of reasoning that Zen used with that statement was a morality fallacy, where, well, because they shouldn't, then yeah, it's right. But if you look at it in a different way, you'll see that, well, we know that people do cheat, and they cheat because they get something out of it. So you can always argue any statement in many different ways, and we have to be able to evaluate what assumptions, what logical assumptions are we using to make sense, because oftentimes we can be using a logical fallacy. So dig a little deeper into that this week as you go to cause and effect. Okay, writing, effective writing is precise and clear. When we say they are the ones that did it, well, who is they? It. Well, oftentimes with pronouns, we need to be very specific and clear instead of using pronouns. Avoid things like every, everyone, never, always, because that's not precise. Because almost nothing is either never or always. There's usually something in between. So we need to be precise and clear. More of the same, kind of someone, something, things, stuff. Always use precise, clear, vivid, specific words when you can. Find the right word. Avoid fuzzy, kind of, like, ish, seems, those types of words. Again, because you want to be specific. Strive for transparency. And being transparent and explicit in what you say in academic writing is very important. If you are doing creative writing, that would be different, because part of the joy of being a reader, of reading creative writing, is that you get to do some of the construction of the story yourself. Academic writing is not that way. You need to be transparent, explicit with what you are trying to get across, never assuming that your reader already knows something. And avoid clutter, repetition, words that just don't need to be there. So here's an example. Other things that keep people from cheating are that the people have a better idea of the consequences of cheating. There's a sentence. Let's see how we can be more precise and clear. Instead, you could say, awareness of consequences can prevent people from cheating. A lot less words and very much fine-tuned with precision and clarity. So always try to cut out that clutter. But if you need to write like this, oops, sorry, back one. If you need to write like the top one first to get your ideas out, fabulous. If that's what you're thinking, go ahead and write it, and then go back and revise for that precision. Okay, follows conventions, punctuation, capitalization, full sentences. Avoid the factor. You never want your reader to stop and go, huh? Wait, what? And then have to reread it. And our punctuation and complete sentences, our grammar usage, is like the traffic signals. And I don't know how many of you have gone through towns where you're like, man, why do I have to stop at every single street? Why don't they have these stoplights timed so that I can at least go through a couple streets without having to stop? Or you don't know where you're going because they don't have a specific sign telling you that it's 3 blocks away, that you need to turn right at certain, to get to where you're going. Those traffic signals help us travel on the roads. Our punctuation and our grammar usage does the same for readers. So we need, for our readers, to give them that good, effective writing by following the conventions. Readers expect conventions. They are the traffic signals to smoothly traversing your thoughts. Misuse stalls the reader. It lowers your credibility. Anyone who doesn't understand right away what you're trying to say will automatically lower their idea of credibility for you. Or if you have a lot of errors, maybe they're just typo errors, that lowers your credibility as well. Okay, an example here. Cheating has a specific value too. Certain people won't cheat off of other people's work if they do not trust or believe that person will give them the best answers. We've got a little bit of typo here, a little bit of I didn't care what I was writing specifically. We have some homophones like TO instead of TOO. Stuff that needs to be cleaned up. And that again takes time as well. All right, it is 5:05. Would you like a break now? Okay, 5:05. Be back at, how long do we need? Is 5 minutes okay, or 10? Do we need 10?
5 to 10.
5 to 10? Okay, so at, it's 5:05, 5:12, I'll split it. 5:12, be back in. Okay, thanks. I was hoping I'd get through chapter 10 by the time we broke, but we'll have to go fast. I was very intrigued that you enjoy reading Eastern philosophy. That's cool.
Yeah, I had to take I kind of really got into it when I took a couple philosophy classes, and well, one was here, one was at a different school. I just kind of like reading it, so I just kind of kept reading it.
Yeah. Oh, shoot.